Ba, ba, Gonna go live on Facebook. Gonna go. Ba-da, 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 ba, ba-da, ba, ba, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ask me. Dum, bum, bum. And here we go. Bum, 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 ba-da. All right, here we go. Bum, bum. Hey everyone. All right, so ask me anything about improv. Episode 8 is starting right now. So let me get to it here. Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Suko. Excited to be with you right here. And yeah, this is just a discussion. Feel free to join in the comments there if you have thoughts about these questions that are coming up right here. It's just a chance to talk a little improvisation. So you might have some questions about improv or, I don't know, comments, things like that. So let's get to it right here. Judy Weatherby, do you find that knowing every Beastie Boys song ever written helps you in my improv? Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I think that it is amazing. It is. I think the Beastie Boys are the greatest group ever. People know that. Also, I have a shirt, new shirt that says "Be good to people." Yeah. Um, I think Paul's Boutique is the best album. I think it's a very improv type album. There's a beginning and end. It does full circle. The sounds at the end are continuing from the beginning. I think it's really cool. They kind of fade in and out of music as they go. Also, they've had a lot of growth as artists and people. And, they have a lyric that MCA sang, and it was, I want to say a little something that's long overdue. The disrespect of women has got to be through. To all my mothers, the sisters, wives, and friends, I want to offer my love and respect to the end. So they're able to change and grow and admit when they were wrong and admit when they needed to change. So yeah, I do think that having every Beastie Boys song ever written, a knowledge of that definitely does change my improv. Well, on my bucket list is to be able to have a conversation with the two living members of Beastie Boys. So if anybody can make that happen, would love it. Michael Diamond or Adam Horovitz right there. So thanks. Hi, Michael. What do you think of the usage of props, whether they're identified as what they actually are or something else? I love it. Love it. I'm a big fan. When I started, one of my first, like my first kind of professional, one of my first professional groups was comedy sports, and we use wigs and props and costumes all the time. I think it's great. I'd say the more the merrier. I say incorporate all of this stuff. Early on we thought, hey, we all we need are these two chairs and that's it, which is great. That's one way to do it. But I also think it's very fun to watch people using wigs and props and costumes. I think right now, especially with what's happening with COVID, to be able to use any of that, and because also it's online, so it's a visual art form as well. So it's a little more difficult to get an audience buy-in of like, oh, I'm having this cup of coffee versus, oh yeah, great point, Don. I've been using Don as an improv name a lot. I used it last night in the show I did with John Hildreth and Jimmy Crane, and I think I called Jimmy Don every show we've ever done. So Don is like a go-to name of mine. I think it's really funny. But I do love the use of props. I say more. See what happens. What could happen if you and your partner both have the same background, both have the same props at your disposal, both have costumes that are similar, and see what happens if that's the show. Like, can you imagine I'm handing you a coffee mug through the camera and you pick the same exact coffee mug and you take a drink from it, I think it could be really cool. So I say, yeah, definitely. The more the merrier. Hey, Assad. Oh, my buddy Assad Khan. Yeah, we're doing a show on Saturday, which is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to put that. I'm going to put that in the. I guess I'll put it in the comments here, but I'm definitely going to broadcast that show. It's a really. I'm just really excited to be a part of it, and that's coming up on Saturday at 5. I believe it's called The World of Improv, and there's a couple groups. One is a group called Across the Pond, which is what I'm a part of, and it's got some really great, amazing performers: Keith Williams and Jill Eichman, Jonathan Pitts, Laura Hughes, Rhiannon Jenkins, and I. It's 5 p.m. LA time, 8 p.m. New York time, 1 a.m. In London, I believe, which will be great. So if you want to check that out, but there's a whole bunch of these kind of groups put together, and Assad had this idea to do it, and it's really great. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I cannot wait for it. And his question is, do you think there should be an ethical and organized system where only an improv teacher should be able to declare another improviser qualified to teach improv, like an anointment of a knight? Oh, that's a fun question. I don't think so because, I mean, then it goes to like who has that ability to say so. Who has the ability to say you should teach or you shouldn't. Now, I do think there definitely should be some training, like with any teaching, where you should go through and understand classroom management and etiquette and creating a safe space for students to learn. I think that should definitely be something that any teacher should have to go through. I also think, when you had theaters, it was their responsibility for that, and sadly, a lot of theaters failed in that regard to create this safe space. So, yeah, I do think it's an interesting question now with the fact that anybody can declare themselves a teacher of improv or any art, really, or dance or painting, whatever it is. So I think it's word of mouth right now is one way to help with people's reputation. But it's funny, there isn't really any sort of guidelines, any sort of training or certificate you need to get to teach improv. So I think in one way the question is like, who would be the body to issue that? Who would be the group that would say, okay, yes, you are ready to teach improv. You are qualified to do it. I don't know. I really don't. Excuse me there. Let's see. But yeah, I think definitely we kind of got thrown early on. You just kind of got thrown into it, and you went out and you taught. You have to look at what somebody's incentive is to teach as well. Sometimes our incentive to teach is for the money, and that's an incentive for sure. But you also have to look at why else do you want to become a teacher. But yeah, and feel free to put in the comments your thoughts as well. Hey Bob, hi Nathaniel, good to see both of you. JFT, John Forrest Thompson, what was your best paying improv gig? They put Club Med. I mean, Club Med was pretty good, man. I was the village entertainer, the village idiot, as it were, at Club Med, and I also did teach some improv on the side there. I did a vacation early in the 90s where I was part of a group that went to Club Med and taught workshops. It was like a free vacation. So we got to stay at Club Med and we taught some workshops. The best paying, any of the corporate gigs are pretty great as far as pay go. But you're doing more teaching skills, like communication skills, and so that's great. But I think like going to Club Med was pretty great because even though I didn't get paid, in money, the experience was great, and you got a free vacation. So that's kind of hard to top, man. Hi Bob. Hi Popcorn. Oh yes, hi JFT. Yeah, I loved working at Club Med. It was so great. I basically got paid to mess with people, and then I did try to teach at Club Med. When I was village entertaining, I tried to teach some of the people who worked at Club Med to become a group, and I wanted to put on shows at the club. When I was, I guess in my early 20s, I went down there with some folks from Comedy Sports, and we would teach short form games, and we would do shows like at the tennis court. It was fantastic. I loved working at Club Med. It was really great being there. Another question comes from, let's see, yes, thank you for that question, Michael Kennedy. Do only improvisers watch other improvisers and mothers of performers they watch too? No, I think it starts with improvisers watching other improvisers, then I think it branches out to like friends and family, and then I do think that, you know, there becomes this word of mouth with improv where other people end up watching it. The challenge always has been the consistency, and that's the joy of improv. But also the challenge is, can you put up a consistent product that people will come and watch? And when you have a group that work together effortlessly, it's years of experience that makes it look that way. But also they understand when to drop their ego, and they've had enough. They aren't fighting for that creative space. Excuse me, that creative space right there. So in order to watch something, you have to have the product be somewhat polished. And something I've been struggling for years is to try and get improvisers to understand that if you just tried a little bit harder, meaning if you just dressed up when you're doing a performance, if you just put on a nice shirt or made sure it was ironed or remembered it was part of a show, and you just don't show up in like, ripped jeans and a hat, and you're just like, we're just doing make-em-ups, like all of those little things make it harder for people to accept this as a viable, art form and a viable entertainment option. Why do I want to watch these people who seem like they just don't care on stage, or they're doing it for themselves and they don't do it anything with an awareness for the audience? Why do I want to watch them when I can watch this show, which has put the time and effort into looking a certain way? So I think people will watch it also if the quality is good too, and if it's a consistently good product, then they'll watch it. So I think it's hopefully that tide is starting to change, where more people are going to be watching it and aware of it. That's why Whose Line succeeded so well, as they did consistent. They recorded it in front of a live audience, and then they edited it down to take the best moments. And so you might be surprised, even some of those world class improvisers struggle in some of the games where it just doesn't work. And when they're recording it, they're able to stop and go, okay, let's try something new. But if it's a live thing and you're trying to record it live in front of an audience, that's a different ball game. I think a group like Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix, I really enjoyed watching them do it. They enjoyed each other's company, and you got a good sense of what it was. But they're also two very likable, talented improvisers, and I think being likable is very key. And if you're not likable on stage, it's just going to take you a lot longer to get there if you ever do get there. Keith Williams, I've been quoting you, play the top of your intelligence. Thanks, Keith. That's a quote from my teachers too, so it's not my quote, but thank you. I was asked what that I meant by that. I explained my understanding of that. What does it mean to you? I mean it's there's a couple things for me. It means, one is like, resist the urge to do like low hanging fruit, like or like locker room humor or anything like that, or going blue or scatological. I think that's an easy thing, a lazy way to do it. I think like if somebody says to you in a scene, they ask you about Disney princess songs and you know a bunch of them, then belt it out and show off that that's what you know. I don't think it's play to the top of your intelligence like your reference level. I think it's playing as smart as you are. So if choose to know, choose to be competent at things, choose to be aware of what you're doing. So and make those choices. If somebody says, hey, you're a doctor, I try to play it as if I am an actual physician. Like I try the best I can to actually try to be a doctor, or try to convince you that I am, and to use all of my knowledge to further that gift that you gave me of being a doctor. So I think release the need to do like low hanging fruit, or for me also sarcasm falls in that camp as well. Play things to the best of your ability. Play them to the top of your intelligence. Play as I always loved playing smart. So if somebody gives you a suggestion of something that's inappropriate, let's say a suggestion or something, an audience might give you a suggestion of a dildo because you ask for anything at all. First off, don't get mad at them. Second off, what can you do with that suggestion that isn't baseline humor? What can you do with that suggestion that isn't like, oh, we have to do every scene about that? Like, how can you interpret that suggestion so that you're in control of it, rather than, well, we're giving them what they want? So yeah, that's when I'm like, play the top of your intelligence. It's like, bring your intelligence into this. If you're with a group that are really keen on history, and a suggestion comes up, and you can reenact a historical event, great, do that. But play smarter than we want to do. So many times we're like, you walk into a scene, someone's digging a hole, and then your response is, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, well, it's obvious they're digging a hole. So we want to play dumb at times in scenes, and instead, I'd say like release that need to play dumb. Also, like picking on people in scenes to me without any sort of of comeuppance. The bully's got to get it in the end. You got to punch the bully in the nose. The bully can't win in these scenarios. So to me, playing smart also is like, you can make better choices in scenes than picking on each other or yelling at someone. What Kennedy says, what accents are acceptable in what situation? Yeah, I think it takes a while. I think there are people that definitely have a trained ear for accents and dialects, and they can do that. And I think sometimes it comes off as very, very stereotypical. And so, to me, if the accent is the punchline of the scene, you should avoid doing it. If it's putting somebody down, you should avoid doing it. And this is my personal opinion. Um, I think like I could get away with trying to do a British accent or an Australian accent. I could try to get away with that, but trying to do a Chinese accent or dialect would not work for me. Also, I'm not great at dialects, so I just don't want. I don't feel the need to do them. I also know that I had somebody in class who was saying put another shrimp on the Barbie as an Australian, and there was an Australian in the class who was like, I don't understand. That's not funny. I had somebody in class pull me aside who was from Russia and said, "Why in freeze tag do I keep seeing people say doing Russian accents as if they're spies? There's more to us than being spies." Um, and so I think if you're looking at, and that goes to playing smart, is playing stereotypes is not playing smart. So when also when you go on stage and you see somebody who's, let's say, they're African American, you don't have to call them a stereotypical African American name, right? You don't have to do that as well. So use your intelligence in these situations. Allow anything to happen as you go. I think dialects are very tricky right now too, because it can be perceived as offensive, and so I don't want to do anything in that realm because there's so much we could play with. So to do an accent for whatever reason, when it's going to be stereotypical or perceived as such, I'd rather not do it. So there are many different thoughts on this. For me, I'm like, you know, I would rather stay clear of that than to do something that would seem offensive. Um, bum bum bum. So I say, yeah, be very careful of those accents and dialects. Wouldn't it be more inclusive and accurate to call it Run DMC rap instead of BC rap, since Run DMC did it first? Yeah, man. I mean, it's sure, call it Run DMC rap for sure. I mean, you could call it Sugar Hill Gang rap, right? Because they came before Run DMC, for sure. I think absolutely. What cheese is the best cheese for a grilled cheese sandwich? Oh, I mean, American cheese is great. I also love mozzarella cheese, and I love cheddar cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich. Why not combine the cheeses? Have a couple cheeses in your grilled cheese sandwich right there. Jay and hi, buddy. Hi, Annette. Hey, Kathy. Good to see you all right there. Hi, Laura. Roseanne. Thank you for popping some of these in right now into the questions. Um, Oh, JFT, I miss you, buddy. Jonathan Nguyen, do you have any advice for someone to approach an improviser they respect to take part in a show or chat or just get some advice? Yeah, reach out to them. Try social media. If you know somebody who knows them, ask if they would facilitate an intro right there. I think improvisers are a lot more approachable, Jonathan, than you think. I know that some improvisers right now don't feel they want to do um, virtual improv. They don't want to do Zoom or online improv. That's not their thing. So don't be offended if or take it personally if they say they don't want to do it, and also don't take it personally if they say they don't want to do your thing, and then you see them do somebody else's thing. It just is what it is. But I would say like just either if you know somebody they know and you're comfortable asking them for an intro, do that, or reach out to them on social media. Reach out to them on on Twitter or Facebook and ask them. They're far more likely to say yes than you think. So yeah, and tell them, say like, hey, I really respect what you do. I really like what you do. Can I grab 5 minutes of your time? If you tell people what it is you're asking for, it's a lot easier. If you say, hey, can you do a 10-minute scene with me online? Then that's much easier than, hey, can I, do you have time for to talk? It's like, well, that's a big ask with what does that mean? A lot of people don't have that time. But if you say you got 10 minutes, that might be easier for them to hop on. But yeah, just do it. Ask them. Assad, the longest two-person mono scene I've ever done. Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question. What's the longest two-person mono scene? Uh, I don't know, but I sure love to try one online. I mean, that would be great. Bum, bum, bum. So yeah, I think I've done them. I've done an hour before. I've done that. I could do them for a long time. I love mono scenes, but maybe an hour. That's probably the longest. Like on a stage, I bet would be the longest. You know, you could say mono scenes and going out to dinner with somebody, but if you're talking like a staged thing, probably an hour. I've done many hours with friends, so yeah, I would say an hour. But yeah, I'd love to do it longer. I wonder how long could I do a mono scene? If I had the ability, like if I had the time, if I had the schedule, my schedule was clear, I could do it for a couple hours for sure. Would people watch? I don't really know or care. I would just do it just to do it. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Oh, Doreen. Hi, Doreen. I saw Doreen Calderon there. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, bum, bum. Let's see. What are some other ones? Let me pull them up here. Um, Bum, bum, bum. Hold on. I'm shifting now. There we go. All right. So, bum, bum, bum. Hi, Doreen. Doreen is an improviser I've known for years and years and years. Um, when does improv change from process to product? Isn't the process the product? Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on if you're putting it up as a product. Like the process is the product is a phrase I've heard a lot of people say. The process is the product. But if you're looking at an end goal for like a show or something like that, yeah, then I guess that process is part of the product there. Yeah, but I always think like we could be a little bit more professional in improv. I just think what gets us into improv also is like the fun and joy of being lazy in a way. But then if you want to make it so that people can watch it and consistently watch it, then I think we just need to raise our game in that level, which I think we can do. But I think we need to look at it in terms of a show as a whole of like how are we going to get the suggestions? What are we going to ask for? How are we going to introduce it? What can we do to set us up for success moving forward? And for different people, it's different. I'm always a fan of dressing nicer than your audience, and I think that's a level of professionalism we can all do. But again, like groups like UCB sprang out of was in response to Second City, who and IO, and IO is a response to Second City. Second City was like suit and tie. It was always suit and tie and dresses. And then IO said, "Nah, you don't have to get that dressed up." And then UCB is more like whatever you want to wear. So it's always in response to. So yeah, I just think for if you want a mass audience, those are things you have to take into account. Uh, Bob, what do you think about new performance platforms such as VidProv versus Zoom? I honestly don't know that much about VidProv. I know it's something that Gary Schwartz is championing, so I haven't really seen VidProv enough to be able to answer that question. But I do know it's taken us in the steps to becoming more, to use the technology more to our advantage. So I'm excited about that, and I do want to check out VidProv. VidProv, I think, has a membership fee, like there's a fee associated. So that's why I think, for me specifically, I think that's why I'm still on Zoom. Is there isn't that I don't see the need for it right now, but I think I'm very excited that it's happening. I really am. I think it's good, and I think there are brains that are working to get theatrical experiences more close to what you're experiencing in person, um, online. So I'm excited about that. Francisco, speaking of quotes, no, hi Francisco, advice from your teachers. Which ones click with you so much that you find yourself going back to them as a performer or teacher? All of them, man. All of them. But for sure, Martin DeMott is the guy that I constantly revisit. And if you haven't had a chance to read up on Martin DeMott, I would say you should. He is a guy that I steal a lot of my stuff from. You know, he says, "Love or want to be loved in the scene. You are pure potential. Nobody's going to follow anybody down the street with a sign saying onward to mediocrity." Which I think goes back to playing to the height of your intelligence. You know, he also said, let's make the scene about something more than that ashtray, which to me means like it's not about the suggestion, but it's about the people and the meaningful relationships between those two people. So he's somebody, Martin DeMott is somebody that I go back to. I think Aretha Sills is someone that the more I talk to and the more that I read up on, I think she has a lot of great quotes, and she's the granddaughter of Viola Spolin. So I think that's somebody I also go back to a ton. But I think like those, you know, are really good. I think my buddy Bill Cott has some great advice as a teacher. I think Will Hines is another one who's got some great advice. Um, you know, Lakshmi and Bala. I find myself they're in the Adam and Eves, and they're also at Improv Comedy Bangalore. I find myself reading what they say and experiencing things that they're talking about, and they have such great insight. So I'm really excited about that. Michelle Gilliam is another one who I see her all throughout the online right now, and I got to meet a lot of those folks through, you know, because of COVID. So I see that those are some people too as well that I keep going back to, and I keep looking at things they say and stealing quotes from them and using them as we go. Pepper Jack Baby, JFT, love you, man. Yeah. Love you, buddy. Hi, Grace. Good to see you. Lakshmi, there she is. Lakshmi Priya. She is who I'm talking about. I think she is just brilliant, and she's just a brilliant mind, and she's a really great improviser and a great teacher. So when she takes offers a workshop, you got to jump at it. It's just great. Hi, Monica. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for joining in. David, do I find props or suggestions easier or harder to work with? I love props. I don't find them. I think they're both easy to work with. Honestly, I do love props. I think it will help if you use props now. It's going to help you with your object work on stage later because you're going to have the sense memory. So I say for sure use props. I think props are great. I love props. I love using them. So I'm not a purist who's like we don't need props. I think we can use props for sure. I don't think it's like necessary, but I do think it enhances what you're doing, especially now with this visual medium of Zoom. Hi, Lakshmi. What do you think is the relationship between the ephemeral nature of improv and life? And then she's like, you don't have to answer this. Wow. That's a great question, though. I guess I want to follow up and say, like, what specifically do you mean? Do you mean like the fact that the short term, the short termness of improv, but do you mean like because it just stays with us for a second and then it's gone? Is that what you mean? I always love seeing you, JFT. I see you. My best to your family as well. So Lakshmi, do you mean like that is so short-lived? I think if that's the case, if of the short-lived nature of improv and life, I think you know it just teaches you that improv is about things are moment to moment and everything changes, and to not hold on too dearly to anything because it's all going to change, and not to, you know, like right now with the pandemic, it can be very overwhelming if we start looking at and start going down the rabbit hole and thinking too much about it versus like just stay in the moment and live every moment to moment to moment that you can, and appreciate every moment that you've got. Just like in an improv scene, if you can appreciate every moment that you've got, you won't be in your head because you're just stuck in the present and you're not up there. And as humans, we regret the past and we fear the future, right? Like we are rarely in the moment. And I think that's the thing is it's just there for that moment. And so to appreciate that, and then you put enough of those moments together, you have a lifetime. But it's moment to moment to moment. If you could put Lakshmi, if you could put in the comments what your thoughts are on that, because I'm really interested to hear your take on it, as far as that relationship there. Um, yeah, I think for me, it's appreciating those moments and knowing things are going to change as well. So appreciate the moment, understand that everything changes. So even right now, I'm just appreciating the fact I'm here. I am in a certain state of mind. That state of mind changes constantly. That emotional state changes constantly, and I can't hold on to it too long. For a long time, like personally, for a long time, I tried to control those moments in my life by drinking or doing drugs or what it was, and like drugs, like smoking pot, But at a certain point, I was like, I had to give those up, and I haven't had a drink or done any. It's been 12, almost 13 years now because I wanted to control things and I needed to let go and just enjoy the moment, which was very hard to do, but it's very rewarding. So I think yeah, it's like moment to moment, um, and appreciate that. And I think it's the gratitude and appreciation is, I mean that's something that for us is it's hard to do at times is to have that gratitude and have that appreciation for what's going on because we don't, and a lot of times we don't understand why we need to appreciate something. We don't understand it uh, because we're in a bad situation, or it's a, we're in a toxic situation, or we're in a situation where there's a lot of negativity happening, or we can't, there's a lot of anxiety. So it's hard for us to be appreciative and have gratitude in those moments. And so, if you could take a breath, one thing that's helped is like go through your five senses, and it's like what are seven things you see, what are six things you hear, what are five things you can touch, or it might be five, four, three, two, one. It's like what are five things you see, what are four things that you hear, what are three things you can touch, and you go through your senses, and that kind of brings you more present. Which, if you can get present, you can you'll worry less about those other things, and it's very hard. So breathing's a big part of that, and trying to stay present. It's a skill you just have to keep working as you go right there. When you meet someone, hi Bob, when you meet someone new in a social situation, they discover you do improv. They say, "Oh, cool, let's see you do it." What do you say or do? Well, I say we're doing it right now. I'd say that's what improv is, and I would also probably say like, "What do you think it? When I say improv, what do you think that is?" Uh, if it's somebody that badgers me, it's somebody who's bullying me into doing improv. Come on, let's do. I'll say, well, as soon as you get a stage up here, I might say something like that. If it's somebody who's being mean, right, or somebody who's being a bully or just being a jerk, I might say that. I might also say, great, here's my rate. But if it's somebody who just doesn't know, I might ask them and say, oh, you're thinking stand-up comedy. I don't do stand-up. I think it's great, but I don't have jokes or I don't have punchlines. But I get a suggestion from an audience, then I create something based on that. Like if you've ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's like that. And then they might say, "Oh, let's do it." And I don't take offense when they say, "Let's do it." I go, "Great, let's pretend we're this." And so I might explain, yeah, it's like when you're a kid, but it's when you're grown up, it's make believe. So I welcome the chance to talk to anybody about improv. But if they're like pestering me about it, and they're being a too cool for school person, then I might say like, well, as soon as you get a stage, or I don't see a stage here, I can't really do it, or things like that. Um, Hi, Tim David. Pre-pandemic, I tried to be more involved in the local community and was finding it difficult. I felt displaced because I wasn't a student anymore and not in a troupe. Oh, heartbreaking, buddy. Sorry to hear that. Breaking through to become involved, not just a headliner. I'm not delusional. I just think jams aren't enough sometimes. Well, Tim, the great thing that's happening now is there are no, I mean, there is no gatekeeper that can tell you where to perform. You can perform wherever you want. Going to jams are great because you can meet people, but then once you've met somebody and if you enjoy playing with them, then ask them to do a scene with you or ask them to do a show with you. Yeah, so like I would say now is the chance to reach out to some people, and you aren't displaced anymore because you're a part of this wonderful global virtual ecosystem that you can reach out to people from all over the world, and then now you get to find your tribe. So I think it's opened up the world so you don't have to rely on, if you're in a smaller town or a smaller community where you've got one, two, or three theaters and that's it. You have a whole world right now, man. So now's the time to reach out to some people who do you like playing with, and ask them to do stuff with you. Bob, oh yeah, thanks. Well, if they want me to do something funny, if they do that, and I might do like a pun game. I go, okay, we play this game called 185, and it works like this. And I go, the whole point of this is to have you grown, and so, I might do that if that's the case. Um, yeah, so that's it. I was able to run the Second City Jam Wednesday night, so that's opened up some doors. Oh, Tim, that's great. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think having, creating those opportunities too for you as well. Like, if, you know, have a night where you invite people to come and play with you. I think that's a great opportunity there too. Is like, hey, I'm on Wednesday nights. I want to get teams together and do a show. I mean, we can do that now so much easier than having to go rent a space somewhere and do that. So take it upon yourself to like reach out to people and create that group. I think that's wonderful. Lakshmi, this is going to be a great answer. I think the connection of ephemeral nature is that loss of ego. Well, let's stop right there because that's true. Like that ego gets in the way of a lot of what we do because suddenly one is part of something big, something that is co-created, something at least I keep trying to do in real life too, with friends and romantic partners and acquaintances, and in something as short as life and improv, the moments really feel good and connecting. Yeah, I think that's it. See, again, like Lakshmi is one of those people that has is so insightful and insightful in improv and really good at what, Lakshmi is good at what she does. And so asking for advice from her really helps too because she's able to give this just great insight on what improv is and how it relates to life, because I do think improv is life right there. And it's useful in our lives, and it's very parallel, and it's skills you can use moving forward to help improve your life. And that's why I still do it, is for that. I still do it um, because it is part of life. And I think improv is a philosophy and a way of life right there. Yeah, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for these questions. These were great. I really appreciate having you all here. And as you can see here, I've got my "Be Good to People" shirt right there, ba, ba, da, ba, which my friend Peter Margaritas, the accidental accountant, who's also a great improviser, he was wearing a "Be Good to People" shirt one day too, and I said, "I love that shirt." And so he said, "Yeah, it's this group," and he gave me the backstory on the company, and I purchased this T-shirt hoodie right now. So yeah, I want you to be good to yourselves today, especially too. But don't forget that. Be good to yourself in the midst of this pandemic. And yeah, I will. Oh, thanks, Lakshmi. Yeah, Keith, improv is life, buddy. You got that right. Keith's part of that group. So we're going to be doing shows this Saturday, and I'm going to be posting more on my Facebook page. Really excited to be a part of it. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. This was a really great Ask Me Anything About Improv. Did you get... Oh, yeah, so Keith, yeah, I answered yours earlier. Yours was one of the first one I answered, as far as like what the definition of is playing to the top of your intelligence. So if you go back to like, it's really early on in this, I answered that as far as what I thought that meant for me. But yeah, an improv, to go for full circle, I got into it because I found a lot of people like me who were kind of nerdy and smart, and they weren't afraid to show off their intelligence and create something really cool and memorable together. So that's what really attracted me early on to improv and why I keep coming back. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.